Hey y'all, it's Lynn from Always Moving Mommy. How are you today? It's almost the end of summer and you might have one last road trip to try and squeeze in before it's back to school and the holiday craziness begins. Or maybe you're already thinking ahead about the holiday season and that you know you're going to travel to go see grandma and grandpa or some other family members and you have a road trip in your future. I wanted to share just a couple things that I stick in the car when we go on a road trip to keep the kids entertained. It can be a challenge at times. And I know I don't like my kids to be sitting on a tablet, a phone, some kind of device for the whole road trip. We're in a car, we might as well talk and socialize and have fun. That's what part of the fun of a road trip is. So I like games. I have a couple of them that I want to share with you. This Rubberneckers is super fun. It does have directions, so don't feel like you have to try and figure it out. But it's super easy, and I like that you can make it your own. You don't have to follow these rules if you don't want to. They're just suggestions, okay? But basically, you pick some cards, and you get points based on what is on the different cards. Most of these things are pretty easy to find while you're out on a road trip. Sorry, I was trying to read. They're things that you would find easily, so it's not going to be frustrating or a struggle for the kids to try and find the different things in here. Super fun. It's something that everybody can do. My kindergartner can do this. She needs help. There are pictures on some, but if it's just straight words, sometimes she needs help with those. So until we have her fully reading, we'll be happy to help her. And it's a great way for her brothers to help her out while she's in the car too. The other game that I wanted to tell you about is called Table Topics. There are several different versions of this, and I love them. This happens to be the family version. They do have a specific version just for road trips. If you didn't want to go buy the game, you could make up your own questions, or the same as this, just make up your own things for the kids to look for. Sometimes it's easier to just buy it instead of having one more thing to do before your road trip. But they basically just have a question on them. And it's lots of different topics. The family ones are great to keep at home on the dinner table. And maybe you just discuss at night after school, while you're doing homework, while you're having dinner, during a commercial break on TV. Just different things to talk about. There's no right or wrong answers, obviously, but just different things for you guys to have kind of conversation starters. Maybe you only need one to get through a whole evening. And this is just some of the different ones that they do have. Like I said, they do have road trip, and they have ones that are specific for kids as well. But they're super fun. They have dinner party versions of the table topics. Those are always great, especially if you have a group of people who maybe don't know each other that well. It's a great way to kind of let everybody get to know each other. There's nothing too controversial in there. You can make things as general, as specific as you want to in your answer. One thing that all my kids still love, and I'm so thankful that they do, is Highlights magazine. Highlights itself, my older boys are into this. They're tweens and teens. It's got stories. It's got activities for them to do. Just lots of different activities. And then they have High Five. So this is more for my daughter, who's a kindergartner. And like this, ironically, issue is about reading. We were just talking about that. So there are things that I can read to her. There are things that she can try and do on her own. So those are all perfect. And they're just fun little stories that she can go back to over and over again to try and work on her reading skills. And lots of other things too. There's games in here and lots of different craft activities, things you can do. One of the other things that is always part of one of our road trips is music. Sometimes there can be a fight about it. Sometimes we have to take turns and decide who's going to pick the next song or the next radio station or whatever we're going to listen to. Sometimes before we will go, we will make a list of all of our favorite songs and put them in a jar and pick them out as we're driving. And that's what gets played. No questions asked. Nobody can complain. Everybody gets a turn. One thing that I like are the Kids Bop CDs. And Kids Bop did send us the CD to try out. So we have several different versions of Kids Bop CDs. If you're not familiar, basically what Kids Bop does is takes the popular songs from the radio and they make them more appropriate for kids. You might not want your child listening to every word of some of those popular songs. They might not have appropriate language or topics for your kiddos, but Kids Bop tries their best to make them a little more child-friendly. So we always make sure that we pack several Kids Bop CDs in our road trip bag or actually in the car itself. I usually always have them floating around the car because we listen to them even when we're not on road trips. But this is perfect because it's not necessarily kid music, so it's something that you'll like as well, Mom, but it's something that's appropriate for the kids in the car too, and it's familiar to them if you're listening to these songs on the radios anyways. So jump on over to alwaysmovingmommy.com. Check out some of our road trip tips. There's packing lists and lots of information over there as well. Please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it so, so much. And thanks for hanging out today.